Okay guys, let's get started. The first topic is agriculture. Word number one is crop. Crop is a countable noun. It can mean a plant, such as a grain, fruit, or vegetable grown by farmers. And it can mean the total amount of such a plant collected in one season. Let's look at the word family. Crop can also be a verb. To crop means to cut something to make it shorter. Now in that beautiful picture there, you can see lovely fields of wheat. Wheat is a common crop. Let's now see some collocations. First we have crop failure, and you can say a crop fails. That means that the plants don't do well, or that most of the crop is lost. We also have crop rotation, and you can say to rotate crops. Next we have a cash crop. A cash crop is a crop that is grown to sell for profit. It's not used by the farmers. And finally we have an export crop. I think it's quite obvious what that is. It's a crop that is exported. Let's see a couple of example sentences. The country's most important export crops are sugarcane and cotton. Peach growers are celebrating their largest crop ever this year. Let's go to the next word. This is domesticate. Domesticate. Domesticate is a verb, and it means to bring animals or plants under human control so that humans can use them for food or work, or keep them as pets. Let's see the word family. We have domestication, which is the noun, that is the act of domesticating. And we also have domestic, which is an adjective. Domestic has a few meanings. It can mean the opposite of international. So for example, you have international flights and domestic flights. So it's related to your own country, the country you are in. And domestic can also mean relating to things that are domesticated, and it can also mean relating to the home. So yeah, it has a few meanings. Some example sentences. Humans still rely on crops such as wheat, barley, and lentils that were domesticated more than 10,000 years ago. Goats and sheep were probably the first animals to be domesticated. And the next word, fallow. Fallow is an adjective. It's used to describe land that a farmer does not grow crops on for a period of time in order to improve the quality of the soil. Let's see a couple of collocations. First we have fallow land, and another common phrase is to lie fallow. A couple of sentences. Fallow land is an unplanted area of ground that would normally have crops on it. The farmers let the field lie fallow for a year to improve the fertility of the soil. Now the next word is famine. This can be a countable or uncountable noun. It means an extreme lack of food in a region over a long period of time, causing illness and death. A couple of collocations. Severe famine and widespread famine. Severe and widespread are adjectives that are often used with famine. A couple of sentences. The Irish potato famine was due to potato crop failures caused by a disease that destroys the leaves and roots of potato plants. The drought caused widespread famine across the country. And now we have feed. Feed is an uncountable noun. You probably know the verb to feed, but lots of people aren't aware that it is also a noun. It means food for animals that are not pets. Feed is mainly food for farm animals. Let's see the word family. First we have the noun feeder. This has a couple of meanings. It can mean an animal, it's the one that's eating, or it can mean a container filled with food for birds or animals. And then we have the verb to feed, which means to give food to a person or an animal. A usage tip. We normally use food, the word food, if it is for pets. So we say pet food, cat food, dog food, etc. And here are some collocations with feed: animal feed, cattle feed, horse feed. The grain was unfit for human consumption, so it was sold as animal feed. Unfit for human consumption means not safe for humans to eat. It's a common phrase, unfit for human consumption. During the drought, farmers had to spend more than usual on feed for the animals. The next word is fertilizer. This can be a countable or uncountable noun. The British spelling is a little different. There's an S instead of a Z. Now this means a natural or artificial substance that is put on soil to help plants grow. Let's see the word family. First we have fertilize, which is the verb that means to put fertilizer on soil. Next we have the noun fertilization, which is the act of fertilizing. And then we have the adjective fertile. If soil or ground is fertile, that means that plants grow easily in it. Now let's see some collocations. We have chemical fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, natural fertilizer, and organic fertilizer. A couple of example sentences. Organic farming often involves the use of natural fertilizers. Nitrogen is a nutrient used in fertilizer and it helps plants grow. This word is free range. Free range. Free range is an adjective. It means relating to a type of farming which allows farm animals to move around outside instead of being kept in cages. There you can see some free-range chickens. Let's see some collocations. Free-range chickens, free-range eggs, free-range farming, and free-range pigs. Animal rights groups are concerned that free-range farming isn't as humane as many people believe. Humane means not cruel. The restaurant now only buys free-range eggs. Let's move on to the next one. This one is harvest. Harvest can be a countable or uncountable noun. It has several meanings. Number 1, the time of year when crops are collected from fields. You can also say harvest time. Number 2, the act of collecting crops. Number 3, the crops that have been collected. So it can refer to the period of time of collecting the crops, the act of collecting the crops, or the crops themselves, so the stuff. And now the word family. Harvest is also a verb, to harvest. It means to collect the crops. And we also have harvester, which is a noun. A harvester is a machine that helps people collect crops. Some example sentences. They throw a big party every year at harvest. So that's at the period of time. We need to hire extra workers to help with the harvest. There, that's the activity. Apple growers are expecting a good harvest this year. And in that last sentence, harvest refers to all of the apples that they are going to collect. The next word is herbicide. Herbicide can be a countable or uncountable noun. It's a substance used to destroy unwanted plants, especially weeds. A weed is an unwanted plant that normally grows quite quickly. In the picture there, you can see a man spraying herbicide. Some collocations. We have chemical herbicide, natural herbicide, and organic herbicide. Although herbicides have helped increase crop yields, there are concerns about environmental damage. The yield is the amount that is produced. The farmers have lowered their costs by using fertilizer and herbicide more efficiently. Okay, the next one. Irrigation. This is an uncountable noun. Irrigation is the practice of watering land by artificial means so that plants will grow. There are various means of irrigation. Now the word family, we have the verb to irrigate. So that's just the verb of irrigation. It's the same activity. The earliest known irrigation systems date back to the 6th millennium BCE, a long time ago. Irrigation allows crops to grow in areas without sufficient rainfall. In other words, in places where there's not enough rain. Now we have manure. Manure is also an uncountable noun. Manure is solid waste from animals that is mixed with soil to help plants grow. In other words, it's poo from animals. Now in the word family, we have manure, the verb, to manure. This means to put manure on soil. Manure is often used as a natural fertilizer. Some people use chicken manure in their own gardens to help their plants grow. It might be good for the plants, but it's very stinky. This word is orchard. Orchard is a countable noun. An orchard is an area of land where fruit or nut trees are grown. In the picture there, you can see an apple orchard. I think it's very pretty. Orchards are made up of fruit or nut-producing trees. There is a beautiful cherry orchard behind the farmhouse. The next word is pest. Pest is a countable noun. It has a couple of meanings, but the main meaning is the first one: a small animal or insect that is harmful or destroys crops. It can also mean an annoying person, especially a child. Please don't misunderstand me, that's not my opinion there. I'm not saying that I find most children annoying. It's just that when people use this word pest to refer to a person, they normally mean a child. Let's look at the word family. There we have the word pester. It's a verb, to pester. It basically just means to annoy. In the picture there you can see a caterpillar. Many caterpillars are considered pests, even if they turn into beautiful butterflies. Here's a little usage tip. This is a false friend in some languages. In modern day English, we do not usually use pest to refer to the disease plague. So if we're talking about the Black Death or the bubonic plague, we don't usually use the word pest nowadays. Here are some collocations. You'll hear agricultural pest, insect pest, and pest control. Pest control is the management of pests. Well, generally it means destroying pests. The Colorado potato beetle is a common insect pest. That's the picture down below. I was a real pest when I was a kid. I annoyed my sister a lot. And that is the truth. And the next word is pesticide. Pesticide can be a countable or uncountable noun. It means a chemical substance used to destroy pests. The insects and small animals, not the children. Okay, some collocations. Chemical pesticide, natural pesticide, organic pesticide. Pesticides can help increase food production, but some pose risks to our health. Eucalyptus oil is sometimes used as a natural pesticide. This word is plough. The spelling is a bit different in British English. Plough is a countable noun. A plough is a piece of farm equipment that cuts into and turns over soil so that seeds can be planted. There's also the verb to plough, which means to cut and turn over the soil. Ploughs were traditionally pulled by animals such as horses, but in modern farming they are pulled by tractors. This word is purebred. Purebred. It's an adjective and it's used to describe animals. It means having parents that are both the same breed. The word breed is similar to type. But be careful, we don't use the word race for animals. I know in some languages there's a word that's similar to race and it's used for types of animals, but in English the word race is only used for people. Looking at the word family, there we have the noun purebred. So you can say, for example, this dog is a purebred. Or you can use the adjective and say, this dog is purebred. Those sentences mean the same thing. In the picture there, you can see some Labradors. These Labradors are purebred. A little usage tip. When talking about horses, people usually use the term thoroughbred and not purebred. She owns several thoroughbred racehorses. The farmer only wanted to purchase purebred cattle. They decided to adopt a rescue dog because they don't mind if their dog isn't purebred. A rescue dog is a dog that you might get from an animal shelter. It might be an animal that has been abandoned. Here we have the word shear. This is a verb. Shear. This means to cut the wool off a sheep. Looking at the word family, we have the noun shearer. A shearer is a person who shears. In the picture there, you can see a shearer. He is shearing a sheep. She learned how to shear sheep when she lived on the sheep farm. Oh, that's almost a tongue twister. The sheep's wool had been shorn off. Just a little usage tip. The past participle can either be shorn or sheared. You have a choice. There are two past participles. Okay, and the last word for agriculture is sow. This is a verb. Sow. It means to put seeds in or on the ground. So in the picture there, you can see a man sowing seeds. He is sowing seeds. We need to sow the seeds before it rains. The farmers have sown the seeds of the next crop, but they'll need to wait a few months before they can harvest it. And another little usage tip, the past participle of sow can either be sown or sowed. Both of those are correct. During the summer, I went to the country and I visited a couple of farms. The first farm I went to mainly grew crops of wheat, but they also grew some other grains. The farmers explained to me that pests were quite common, so they had to use pesticides to protect the crops. Because it was an organic farm, they used organic pesticides, and they also used organic fertilizers and organic herbicides. On some parts of the farm, they used manure as fertilizer. They had some free-range pigs and chickens, so it was easy for them to get manure. They showed me an empty field which was lying fallow. They said they would sow seeds there the following year. They also showed me some farming equipment, such as a tractor and a plow, and explained to me how they worked. They also explained the irrigation system that they used when they didn't get enough rain. I felt very lucky to live in a country that has never experienced a famine. I also visited a dairy farm. The farmer told me that all her cows were purebred and that cows were first domesticated around 10,500 years ago. You learn something new every day. When I asked her about what they ate, she said that they mainly ate grass in the fields, but if there was a dry year and not enough grass, they were given additional feed, which was largely made up of hay, but might also include grains or legumes. She also had a small apple orchard and said that the harvest would take place in the spring. Finally, I visited a sheep farm where I got to watch some shearers shear some sheep.